Welcome, folks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, humans who are arriving into our Zoom space, and welcome any animal companions who are with you and around you who'd like to participate or observe in whatever way they would like to. And welcoming our guest, as usual, from the more than just human world. Can you figure out who this is? Yes, folks, it is National Panda Day. And if you have never heard a panda, that's the sound that at least one adorable little panda is making on the video here I'm watching, the audio that you're listening to. So greetings on this National Panda Day, a celebration of these playful creatures, as well as a reminder of the global challenges they face. So blessings for the safety for pandas and strong support for all those who are working so hard to keep them and their habitats healthy and safe. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Compassion Consortium. I'm Reverend Sarah Bowen, and I'm joined today by co-founders Victoria Moran and Reverend William Melton, alongside Animal Chaplain Jen Baker and our irreplaceable techie Phil and advisory board chair Dave. Tams Nicholson, excuse me, is here as our special spiritual guest, and we're very excited about that. Tams is joined by Katie too, so you may see Katie there in the screen every once in a while. Her feline, I guess, co-presenter, co-interviewer today. In order to ensure that we don't have disruption during our Sunday service, we've turned off most of the Zoom sharing functions, so you won't be able to find those right now. But we do look forward to seeing you and hearing your voices later during fellowship time after the service is complete. We meet for Sunday service on the third Sunday of every month. If you're new to us, welcome, welcome. We're an interfaith and interspiritual and interspecies community. And if you've been here a lot of times, you know what that means. But if those concepts are new to you, I am putting a link in the chat that you can go to find out a little bit more about what we are about. And for those of you watching the replay. At the beginning of every Sunday service, I offer some sort of acknowledgement, musing, pondering, drawing our awareness to whatever habitat I'm in. I've just returned from a family trip to our heritage land of Scotland to bury my father and his brother and to renew my vows, which is very odd to do the two on the same trip, but that's how things went. So I want to presence the different things that are going on in our lives. If you are having celebrations, if you are having losses. And I also want to presence some of the creatures from Scotland, the mountain hare, the black grouse, who has the coolest walk, the palmate newt, the field vole, who really, really does cool things with dirt, the Scottish wildcat, who you may or may not see, because there's not a lot of them left, the pine marten, and the Highland cow, which I could talk about for quite some time, the ethics of the Highland cow. But I want to talk about something else in our opening today. My husband and I had the privilege of trekking up the side of a mountain in the Cairngorm National Park with about a dozen other humans, all of us dressed head to toe in warm weather clothing and waterproof boots, to see a group of free roaming reindeer who originally arrived in Scotland in the 1950s, courtesy of Mikael Utsi, a Sami reindeer herder from Sweden, and his wife, who was an anthropologist, Dr. Ethel Lindgren. After visiting the Cairngorms on their honeymoon, Utsi believed that reindeer had once roamed there, but had gone extinct due to hunting and climate change in the 1950s. Since the Scottish Highlands had a similar environment to the Arctic tundra that he knew, he introduced a small group of 8 reindeer, 8, to see if they could flourish. The herd now numbers around 150. For many of us, the word reindeer may bring up visions of, what, Santa Claus? Bright red noses? Or our hearts may break thinking of how they're paraded into coffee shops and malls in the US for holiday photo ops. I can't tell you how many online petitions I filled out this Christmas on their behalf. But I'm fascinated and flummoxed by the complicated cohabitation of reindeer and the Sami people, an indigenous group who live in a region that spans across northern Norway, Sweden, Finland, and part of Russia. And through Utsi, the Sami are the reason that reindeer are now thriving in the Scottish Highlands. So up, 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 my husband and I went, bogland slushing underneath our feet. I whispered sorry to all the technicolored lichen and mosses underneath my feet as I mushed on them. A few times my heavy boot went down. I heard a sucking sound from the ground. There was a pool of water around me, and I worried when my foot came up that perhaps the boot would remain in the ground. But luckily they stayed on. 25 minutes later, we arrived at the herd. We learned the rules of interaction. So folks, if you ever see a reindeer, here they are. This is what I learned from our 2 human guides. Don't touch the reindeer. They like their own space. They don't actually even nuzzle, except the young with their mother. Stay still. Walk slowly. Don't crouch down, or you might be a threat and get kicked. So beware of possible kicks as well. The guides were more than happy to answer all the questions I pummeled at them as an animal ethicist. I learned a very small team of 8 people were responsible for running a single daily tour up the mountain each day for people who are willing to hike through a bog to see the reindeer. And I asked how they came to work with the herd, their backgrounds, why they were called to the work, what their challenges were. Asked them about their ethics around the work. I asked them about privacy and reproductive concerns I have for all sorts of semi-managed groups of animals. And I learned that the pregnant reindeer head to the hills and the humans don't see them again until the moms decide to come down. Yay, reindeer moms. I also learned that the humans do manage the male reindeer for the health of the herd, right? That had me flummoxed as usual, because in addition to being a theologian, I have a zoological education. So I started thinking about inbreeding depression and genetic bottlenecking and all of those things we might think about. And I presume rightly, the males were managed to make sure there was genetic diversity for the health of the herd. I understand these things cognitively, but the activist in me gets a little queasy. My head starts to spin. I questioned whether my curiosity to learn about them made me complicit in any sort of exploitation. It was in one of those ethical conundrums in an interspecies interaction that I'm often in. There were no fences, no forced contact, no touching. Healthy herd interacting with us on their own terms. And yet I have to acknowledge for all of you, I paid a ticket for that experience. On the way back down the mountain, I pondered and I continue to ponder. Interacting with animals is a joyful, joyful experience. And I think it's one that's desired by whatever force created us or by whatever amazing evolutionary process human life came to be formed. I think we are meant to interact with individuals of other species. And we're called to these connections through our curiosity and our compassion and some sort of inner threading with them, perhaps. With the right intention, interspecies interactions can be deeply spiritual, expand our minds, open our hearts. At the same time, navigating the ethics of interspecies contact is, well, as we talk about so much around here, messy. Some of you may think, okay, Sarah went to go see the reindeer. Some of you might think, I don't know what Sarah did over there. It's messy. And it's a fair question. So here, as I wrap up today, I give us a few pondering questions, as I always do. What intentions do you have for your connections with other animals this month? What conundrums are arising for you? How do you do your ethical deliberation? And can connecting with other people in this community be a supportive presence for you? We'll take these questions into our fellowship hour today after the rest of our service, because Victoria and Tams have plenty of musing today from other angles and pondering some Franciscan views. And now it's on to our Tenets of Agreement. We have a very, very special reader this month, our own Victoria Moran. It's Victoria's birthday month. So we asked Victoria, what she would like in the service today. And she said, among other things, that she would like to read one of the tenets. Victoria, we wish you a healthy and hopeful next revolution around the sun.
You and a little bit of humility popping as soon as I turn my video back on.
You're so overcome with excitement about this revolution around the sun
Oh,
that
I'm excited. Yeah, this is a semi biggie. And I'm actually celebrating all month because I missed my last big biggie because we had a pandemic. So yeah, I'm really making a big deal out of March 21st. And thank you all for inviting me to read our beautiful tenets. At the beginning of each Sunday service, we remind ourselves of these tenets of agreement which our community strives to uphold. Each month, we focus on one of them. This month, number 3. I encourage everybody to take time to contemplate how the tenets can impact and influence your daily life. If you're unfamiliar with all 10 of them, please read the full list at the link just placed in the chat. Tenet 3. We affirm that compassion, reverence for life, and nonviolence are fundamental to religious faith and moral philosophy and are to be extended to all sentient beings. Take a moment to mindfully meditate on this idea. Back over to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Victoria. We are so delighted that you and William started Compassion Consortium, and we will celebrate your entire month of birthday with you as well. Today's practice is a short audio meditation that will take us on a journey. It was created by one of our current ACT cohort members, Bert Kempner. Bert's first job was as a news reporter at a rock and roll radio station, so you know he is fit for audio meditations, right? You'll see it in his voice. From there, he expanded into TV and film, specializing in documentary, environmental, and nonprofit programming for over 54 years. Bert's work has appeared on PBS and Discovery and History and CNBC and European and Asian TV. But Bert is also the author of 8 children's books about animals I'd like our community to know about. 3 of the titles that I love most: The 5 Fierce Tigers of Rosa Martinez, Dolphins in Distress, and Misha the Educated Elephant, which is an award-winning book. So after the practice, I'll post a link into the chat for Bert's books. If you've got kids or you do gifting of books to kids, check out Bert's work. As Philip brings up the slide and starts the audio, I just invite you to take a few breaths, settle into your seat. And this is a practice that many of you may want to try again at some other time. And so we will post it on our YouTube channel as we always do, in case you want to share with others or try it again. And also make sure it goes out in our newsletter for you. Take another couple breaths. And Phil, send us on Bert's journey.
Retreat to the quietest room in your home or a favorite place outdoors, the sacred place you go to reflect or relax. You are at peace and feeling free. Let your breathing guide you. You find yourself being gently lifted and slowly starting to sink. It's a comforting feeling. Your feet come down on something solid and you open your eyes. You are in the entryway to a vast wooden ship. A wide gangplank leads up to you. This is not a metaphor or a dream. You are really there. You are wearing a robe of coarse material, cinched at the waist by a braided cord. You hear the creaking of the ship's floorboards, smell the tang of the sea air, and feel the no longer gentle rocking of the craft. To your delight, a long line of animals is making its way up the gangplank, hundreds of them, tens of hundreds. As they reach the entryway, They make eye contact with you. They want something only you can give, a blessing. This lion, what does he need? That falcon, what is her soul crying for? Where you see fear, you ask for serenity. Where you see confusion, you ask for clarity. Where you sense resistance, you ask for acceptance. The animals keep coming. Each expresses gratitude to you in their own way. An elephant hands you a lovely blood-red flower with her trunk. When the line of borders finally comes to an end, you walk into the interior of the ship. The animals have formed an immense circle, and they make way for you to stand in the center. You close your eyes, and a small gold light appears in your heart chakra. It is the purest love you have ever experienced. The light expands and starts to embrace the animal passengers, the zebras, the dolphins, the apes, the crickets, the swans. The light is almost blinding now. An overwhelming sense of gratitude you feel makes all other sights and sounds fall away. There is a great flash, and you find yourself back in your room or outdoor nook. Only a few minutes have elapsed since you set off on your travels. Did any of it happen? You notice you are still holding the blood-red flower the elephant gave you. A message that hope can exist in even the darkest of places, and that love inevitably wins. You are at peace.
Friends, take a few more breaths with me. I wonder what your craft looked like. Bert's with us today. Thank you, Bert, so much for allowing us to use your beautiful meditation today. I hope that was useful, folks, and that you'll find you might want to return to it when you're looking for moments of peace. Hey, Victoria, I heard you have someone over there with your Tams, and we are eager to hear from her. So enough from me. Floor is yours.
Why, thank you so very much. It is my great pleasure to introduce somebody who so walks the talk. We try really hard in inviting our guests to the Compassion Consortium to get people who are wise and articulate, but who also are doing this work daily in their lives. And Tams is certainly one of those people. I am honored and humbled, actually, to be introducing her. Tams lives in Michigan, formerly in Georgia. She is a vegan and animal rights leader with background in the business world. And she's worked in operations and IT and all those grown-up things. And now she has come into the very spiritually grown-up world of making things better for animals. Her academic background is in psychology, and she is a Franciscan. And we're going to find out exactly what that means. Welcome, Tams.
Thank you so much, Victoria. It's just such an honor to be here today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here with you. My goodness. So let's just jump right in and explain to people what this means. So when I hear Franciscan, I think of a monk or a nun in a cloister somewhere, but you're a Franciscan who's very much out in the world. Explain this to us.
Well, thank you for asking. That's really a great question because so many people don't know that when Saint Francis of Assisi was alive, he started ultimately what became three orders. So the first order is the Order of the Friars, and the second order is the Order of Saint Clare, and the third order are where those of us who are not completely religious fall into. So as a third order Franciscan, I live in the world. I have a profession. I can be single, engaged, married, divorced, and I have my own ministry, and it is it is like the best of both worlds for me, because it allows me to talk and share and work in what I believe my creator is calling us all to, which is ethical veganism. And all of us third order Franciscans are very diverse. The professional backgrounds are quite unique, so are our stories. So the way we stay together is we each have our own fraternity, and we come together once a month. And as a Franciscan, and it's all about social justice. So it's just an amazing opportunity for me as a ethical faith-based vegan to be able to live the gospel, which is what a third order Franciscan is called to do. So we say life to gospel, gospel to life. In other words, we are supposed to walk as Jesus walked. And as you may know from Christspiracy, we have the first taste of the public seeing, Jesus, his love is radical. It's not, I'm going to sit in the corner and pray kind of love. Prayer is very, very important. Prayer changes much, but it's balanced with social justice. So as a third order Franciscan, we all share this attitude no matter what our individual ministries are. I hope that was all right.
Oh, that's so interesting. It's fat. And how did you get to be a third order Franciscan? Do you have to go to school for a long time?
It's a process. So to become a third order Franciscan, one goes through a period, they call it a period of initiation. And it includes orientation, where you learn about what Franciscans do and you figure out if this is even of interest to you. And then there's an inquiry period, there's a candidacy, and then finally you're professed. So you go through all the same stages that the friars and the nuns do. And I came to know about it because of my veganism. I was seeking the right walk for my faith in collaboration with my ethical veganism.
Oh, that's so beautiful. When so many people find that their veganism takes them away from their faith, to hear that for you it brought you closer to it is really, really lovely. So even non-Catholics know Saint Francis as the patron of the animals and the planet, nature. But what's known about this historically? Sometimes people will say, well, we don't know that much about him. We don't really know that he really cared about animals. Well, I think he did.
His
Can you
his whole his whole story is really amazing. So I'll just give you the really condensed version of it. And his father was a cloth maker, a material maker, which was very a wealthy profession at that time. And as Francis is going through his experiences, he went to war. He came back from war, and he had this complete conversion. And he had a conversion to the point where he was doing things that his father didn't like, and he was standing up to the other religious people because he felt God was calling him into this new ministry. Ultimately, the ministry was to rebuild the church, and Francis initially thought that meant, like a brick church, right? Go find a brick church somewhere and rebuild it. And what it actually meant was to create a new religious movement. And Saint Francis is one of the most revered of all the saints, so well known. While he didn't write a lot, there are many legends and stories that have been carried down through the centuries. And Francis was born in 1181, and he lived until about 1226. So we know that he did things like he talked to the birds, he had conversations with the creatures, he considered them his brothers and sisters. And I actually just have a 1 minute video up that I was using for something else, and it would be perfect for this too. May I share it? It
Oh,
speaks about the
absolutely.
mystery. Okay.
The Canticle of the Creatures for Francis summed up his whole spirituality and his whole life, because he praises God by being a part of all of the created world. And he singles out the four elements of earth, water, air, and fire. And he calls them his brother and sisters. Brother fire, sister water, brother wind, sister mother earth. They became his brother and sister, and he praised God with them and by means of them. The universe that God created is the primary revelation to us. It's the primary scripture. And I saw in Francis someone who will help us connect again to the animals, to the birds, to the oceans, to the earth itself.
Wow, that's really lovely.
So that was my introduction, right? And as we dug and learned, I spent 10 years in my process of becoming a Franciscan. I didn't want to do it lightly because, as you so very well know, there's no denomination within the Protestant faith or Catholicism that are completely vegan. And I wanted to make sure it aligned with my beliefs and that I could truly adhere to what Francis shared all those centuries ago. And I'll tell you, as we study and delve deeper and deeper, he truly considered creatures to be our family. There was no separation at all. And that is a belief that I share as a vegan, and it is a belief that our Creator really creates every heartbeat, every moment. So that chicken right now who's imprisoned and suffering under our hands in the industry that we currently have in the world, our Creator created that chicken's heartbeat. That chicken, she has a name to our Creator. And until we really move back and step up to the faith that we're called to, then we will keep participating in all of this violence. So we're called out of the culture of death by Francis and other saints. And I really love everything about the work I'm doing now is so in alignment with my beliefs. I'm sorry to ramble.
Oh, you're not at all. You're not at all. It's so inspiring. So let's talk just a little bit about you, Tams, personally. What caused your heart to open to the animals?
Oh my goodness. I grew up atheist, right? And my dad and mom were so compassionate to the creatures, taught me great respect. And they double dated with another couple. And before I was born, and both couples married about the same time. So they're watching each other's lives. And my parents' friends, the man felt called to the seminary. So, I mean, they were all secular. And this man goes to the seminary and he comes out and he was very convinced he needed to convert my father. So by this time I was born and some of his children were born. And when our parents would get together, they would sit around the kitchen table and this man, I use his first initial, D, would try to convert my atheist father. Ultimately, my dad posed two questions out of his compassion, which changed my life. One, what happens to kids? And D, who was really hell and brim and fire and all that stuff, Well, he said an answer that neither my father or I agreed with. And then my father said, "What happens to the animals? What do you think about the animals?" And Dee said we could do whatever we wanted with them. And I just watched my heart harden to any kind of Christianity or any kind of faith, because that was my full example of faith as an atheist. So I sided with my dad. And we walked in this compassionate walk of rescuing and loving and caring for all the creatures. And then as I got older, my dad and I had really good conversations. And I started pondering, these creatures are showing us agape love, right? Unconditional, just full blown, wonderful love that humans often struggle with. Could it be that a creator made us all? He certainly seems, or she certainly seems it seems plausible. So I started on a search looking at different faiths. And that was how it came. It came first through my wonderful parents and their love. And then it came through me looking at the creatures in nature and thinking, wow, maybe a creator did make this, but it's certainly not the creator that I knew from other faiths. Not a violent creator. It had to be a creator of love. So
Wow, what a story. And here you are. And
yes.
today, something that you are doing right alongside with being a third order Franciscan is that you are, I believe, at the helm, and you can correct me if that's not quite accurate, for allcreatures.org. So, for those who are not familiar with allcreatures.org and your very comprehensive newsletter and other work, tell us about that and how we can be part of it.
Well, we were founded in 98 by Pastor Frank Hoffman and his wife, Mary. And our website is amazing because they started that website then and gave a voice to vegans and animal rights activists who could find no other voice in the 90s. So it holds poems and stories and articles, and a newsletter that you spoke about shows all the current things going on. It's an amazing organization. I came on board a couple of years ago. We have all new staff. We have all kinds of new projects going on. So the best ways a person could help is if you think there aren't any Judeo-Christian vegans, animal rights people, go to our site and check us out. And then please share the word. Because many times people don't believe that that Christians can be vegan, and it's such a stigma that we need to break. It goes completely with the faith. Oh, and thank you for sharing the link. So I think that's the best answer I can give.
So this organization that you're with now, All Creatures, and there is a hyphen in the allcreatures.org if you're going to be looking that up. It's specifically reaching out to Jews and Christians. Is that correct?
Well, we know it's for everybody, but because Frank and Mary were Judeo-Christians, the sermons and everything that Frank has done for all these decades, they're all Christian. There are plenty of other faiths represented, and also we represent not, people that choose not to have a faith. It's made for animal rights activists and vegans.
Lovely, lovely. So let's talk about animal advocates and vegans who are Catholic or members of another religious tradition, and maybe sharing about who they are in terms of how they feel about animals, about their lifestyle choices. Maybe that's not so comfortable in that faith setting. What do you have to say to them?
I have to say a lot, and
Okay.
I will keep it short. I cannot believe you asked this question. Thank you so much, because for the last 3 months, I've been working on a short series to help empower faith-based people that are put in a situation where they're, kind of up against the wall, having to answer questions, or maybe they just want to try, step in the fact that the people around them are living in a culture of death They're supposed to be in a beautiful, loving faith together, and they want to start exploring how to reach out. So the first thing I want to say to you is do not believe the lies of the world that your voice has no power, and you are not alone. That's such a big problem for faith-based vegans or faith-based animal rights vegans. They think that, well, they feel isolated, right? Because, I go to my parish, I might be one of 3 vegans of, I don't know, probably close to 7,000, congregants. I know how it feels isolating, but it's not true. My personal belief and what I share in the teaching I'm getting ready to release is that we are called as missionaries we are perfect right where we are. And we have wonderful internet and all sorts of ways we can communicate virtually. And I hope to share my experience of the tools I found that work best. So it's just going to be a short 3-part series. I made a little guide, and it'll probably be out sometime next month. But realize that it is a lie that you have no voice. You have a strong, needed voice. Even you can even just choose to be a servant leader, right? And that's by example. So just walking through it and not letting people make you feel like you're some sort of freak or oddball. We hold the key to what the creator of my understanding is calling us to: complete compassion, complete nonviolence, and complete respect and reverence for all of creation. So, yes, sorry.
No, that is so exciting. And I think to just walk into any sort of building that represents any of the world's faiths and just saying, this is me and this is how I get it. So you've said that a couple of times, but I wonder if you could just say it again. So you're really planting it in us. Your belief that what we are called to do at this point in history is
veganism. Oh, well, in scripture, the scripture, my understanding, is so amazing to view it through vegan eyes, right? Because it changes everything. In the beginning, we were vegan. In the end, in heaven, we're vegan again. And in the middle, this is where the damage has been done. And this is where we, as the people that come to understand that ethical veganism is part of our faith, this is a point where we get to stand up and really share that message. We're not alone. We are walking the way that we are called to walk. And it's just the world beats us down and makes us feel all these different ways, and none of them are true. None of them are true. And when you learn to stand in confidence, confidence that can't be shaken, then it's more easy to be alone.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Tams. We'll be staying around for fellowship at the end, and some of us will be lucky enough, maybe, to be in the same group as she is. And you can ask questions then or reach out to her through allcreatures.org. And if you do have an interest in St. Francis, but you're kind of new to the Compassion Consortium, a couple of years ago on, I think it was World Vegetarian Day, which is the birthday of St. Francis, we did a wonderful evening workshop. Father John Deere, who's a wonderful Catholic priest known for his peace work, and he's also vegan and there for the animals, was one of the special guests. We also had a wonderful Protestant clergy person and some other people as part of that. And you can find that on the Compassion Consortium website or at the Compassion Consortium's YouTube channel. Please subscribe, invite your friends to do that. And in this remaining moment, Tams, do you have just a little blessing thought?
May each of us find in our hearts the radiating truth that we are walking the right path that the world needs to see, and that in our love, in our trust, in our sorrow, and in our life experience, we touch numerous lives that we never know about. And may that fall upon your mind and your heart in the most troubling of moments. And may you just be filled with peace.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And on, I believe, to Jen.
That was wonderful, both of you. That was so confirming. Wonderful. This month's Song of Compassion is from the movie Brother, Sun, Sister Moon, about St. Francis and St. Clare. This was a special request from Victoria because our special guest, special spiritual guest this week, Tams Nicholson, is a Franciscan.
No. Brother sun and sister moon, I seldom see you, seldom hear your tune. Preoccupied with selfish misery, brother wind and sister air, open my eyes to visions pure and fair, that I may see the glory around me. I am God's creature, of Him I am part. I feel His love awakening my heart. Brother sun and sister moon, I now do see you, I can hear your tune, so much in love with all that I survey.
Thank you, Jen. And thank you, Victoria, for that. That's a classic. I think we have a new interspecies spiritual practice for us all this month as spring arrives, if spring is in your habitat, called running through a very large field. Did anyone else feel like they wanted to do that? So many of us, spring is just on the horizon in our habitats. And so being able to recognize, as he says there, recognize the glory of everything that is around us is something we can do any time, any month, any season. But as spring evolves, encouraging us all to do that. Folks, speaking of newsletters, gave you the link for the All Creatures newsletter there in the chat. Also going to give you the information about how to sign up for the Compassion Consortium monthly newsletter if you're not getting it yet. And this is a shout out to Jen, who puts that together every month with great tips on animal advocacy actions, on events that we've got going on, replay practices, all sorts of things. So if you're not getting that yet, we want to make sure that you get hooked up with that. So I'll put a link in the chat. So as we wrap our service today, Phil's going to turn on the ability to chat and to turn on your videos so that we can start to see you and interact with you. And we invite you to enter any blessings or prayers you'd like witnessed by this community into the chat. Those could be joyful things that have happened. They could be challenging things that are going on that you'd like support for, or losses that you're marking at this moment. And feel free to support each other. Zoom is now threaded, so you can talk to each other, offer each other support, and also in our fellowship group. And Victoria, I believe you have someone special you'd like to honor today. You've had a recent
Yeah.
loss. Would you like to share that with us?
I would be so grateful to do that. Thank you, Reverend Sarah. In 2019, I went to Columbus, Ohio with the film A Prayer for Compassion that many of you have watched. We linked to it on the on our Compassion Consortium website. And one of the people who attended was a retired engineer named Jiten Ruparel, Dr. Ruparel. He was introduced to me by a lovely yogi there in Columbus, Joy Lawrence. And this man had translated many of the Indian scriptures into English and written vast um, commentaries on them, never had them published. They were just for his students. And he took me on as a student very graciously and generously. And they do say that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I just thought it was so perfect that after going through the 60s and the 70s and all the various gurus coming from India and the orange robes and all that, I find an 80-year-old retired engineer. And he was so, so valuable in my life. He left me a message last week. I hadn't gotten around to returning it. And I learned yesterday morning that he had passed peacefully in his sleep. So I just wanted to read something that he said to me back in 2021 that I've hung on my wall. And I'm speaking it from him to you. This was when I was looking for a publisher for my latest book, and they said I didn't have a platform in that field, and I was feeling very down on myself. And he said, "You don't need credentials. All you need to know is that you are Brahman. Search for yourself. Nothing else matters." Godspeed, Jiten.
Tatvam Asi, you are that. Yes, Victoria, thank you. Thank you for sharing about someone who is beloved to you. Folks, if there are people beloved to you that you'd like to enter into the chat, please do. Please do so we can witness and we can honor alongside you. And Phil, if you'll bring Victoria back up here, it is Victoria month, Victoria birthday month. And we have a final prayer that Victoria is going to offer, following in our kind of Roman Catholic-ish inspirations for today, right? We've been mixing a lot of things, but we've had a little bit of a theme running today. Victoria chose a favorite prayer of hers, which was written, I believe, by actor Nick Moore, who provided
Yes.
us the permission for you to read this beautiful prayer. And Phil's also going to put the words up on the slide for those of you who would like to take a screenshot or use your phone or something like that if you'd like to have this beautiful prayer available. Victoria,
Thank you.
floor is
And
yours.
this was actually sent to me by a lovely vegan that I know who is an atheist. So a shout out to all of our atheist friends today too. But she said this was written by a Catholic friend. I think you'd like it, and I do. So this is to Saint Teresa of Avila for animal rights. Dearest Saint and Doctor of the Church, Saint Teresa of Avila, please hear this prayer of supplication which I deliver in admiration of your marvelous piety. During reflection upon Jesus' suffering and poverty, you left the indulgences of a luxurious life and grew closer to Christ through a life of simplicity. You urged your convent to embrace poverty, chastity, and manual labor, and to give up the endowment of wealthy patrons. In your wisdom, you practiced moderation by adopting a vegetarian diet. Saint Teresa of Avila, please help those who struggle to adopt vegetarianism and veganism. Help them so that they may lead lives that preserve and protect God's great creations, the animals, and the natural world. By your heavenly intercession, May more people abandon the overconsumption of animal products, and may legislators and factory farmers be guided away from practices that destroy the environment and cause the unwarranted suffering of innocent animals. We ask this in all the holy names. Amen.
Amen. I can see why you like that one, Victoria. How did that feel to read that?
It takes me back a long, long time. I was raised a little bit Catholic. Long story, but it does take me back to that. I can almost smell the incense.
Well, there you go. We are interfaith and interspiritual around here, folks. So you never know what we are going to mash up together. Um, in the chat, just want to presence one of our folks here who's offering Thanksgiving for coming back from a relatively safe protest against police violence. And there was a lot that was going on, which she has shared the story of what was happening there in the chat. So those of you who'd like to attend to her and give her your kind words and prayers, please do. And also some love of Saint Teresa of Avila. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of saints in the last couple months around here. There are so many saints that are beloved to those who are in the Roman Catholic tradition and to those who are not, but have found some usefulness for different saints and what their lives represented, So may we all find wonderful teachers, like Victoria mentioned, saints who are our inspirations, animals, like for me, reindeer. It's going to be reindeer all month, thinking about them and learning about them. And so whatever is bringing you inspiration towards more compassion this month, may you find it. And it looks like that's about it, beyond some big happy birthday Victorias in the chat. So I am going to turn the floor over now to Dave. Dave, you're up.
Thank you, Sarah. My friends, hello again. As always, I'm here to remind you that it costs money for the consortium to put on this wonderful program each month. As always, our wonderfully generous donors last month made it possible to provide this month's program for free. And as always, what that means is that you have the opportunity to make a modest donation today that allows next month's attendees, probably including you, to also attend for free. It's a way to pay it forward. So won't you please take a second, grab your phone, scan that QR code, or go to the link in the chat. If it's the first time you're doing this on your phone with that QR code, it might take a minute or two to check the boxes, but in the future, it'll be very quick. And you can do that while the service is going on. And if for some reason you forget or you want to do it later, you can always go to the website, compassionconsortium.org, find the donate button and make a donation there. Thank you so much. And now let's go back to Jen, who will let you know about a few upcoming events before we go to fellowship. Jen, hi.
Great. While I read a few announcements, remember that Phil has given you all the opportunity to turn on your video cameras if you'd like. We'd love to see all your beautiful faces as we close the service and move into our fellowship time. So please feel free to stick around and join us. In our April Sunday service, our spiritual guest will be Wayne Xiong, ethical humanist, along with all the other wonderful things we do each month. In our monthly newsletters, we highlight different compassionate actions people in the Compassion Consortium community are taking. If you have a compassionate action you'd like to share, please submit it to compassionconsortium@gmail.com. We'd love to share them with everyone. And engaged members joined Patricia Denny's for an immersive practice on Tuesday, April 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern to explore what can I do for the animals and the planet. Animal chaplain and animal activist Patricia Denny's explores the question that so many of us ask ourselves, what can I do? That question may manifest into, am I doing enough? Or is what I'm doing making a difference? So join us then. You can join us for Homo Ahimsa Rising, the Whole Planet Spirituality Forum and Retreat at Unity Village, Missouri on October 16th through the 19th of 2025. And don't forget about all our wonderful monthly recurring gatherings for vegan meditation, activist well-being, and pet loss support. Details are always available on compassionconsortium.org events page and in the monthly newsletter.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you all for being here with us at Sunday service at the Compassion Consortium. We hope to see you next month.